Hello guys and welcome to HRL Season 5, round number 13. We got Dolium SX Moto 1. Should be a fun one here. I think the first lap's going to be very interesting in Dolium. It always is, with most supercrosses, but especially on this track with how fast you go into that first whoop section and how chaotic it can get in the first rhythm section. Definitely pay close attention on this first lap. And here we go, green flag. Let's see who gets out with the best start. Looks like the whole shot was pretty close between Luke and that might even be Bean, honestly, on the outside. Let me check. I think it was Bean, sitting solidly there in fourth now. Trying to work his way up to third. A lot of Vulcan almost going off the track there. He's got to be thankful for those invisible barriers. And there it is, first rhythm. All kinds of cheese. Several drivers going down. Solid Xbox notification. Bean, very unfortunate, goes down, and he's just having an absolutely tough time getting back around on his goose. That sucks for him because he had a great start there, like possibly a top 3 start, and now it's looking pretty rough. Completing the first lap here. It's Luke in the lead, Roman in second, and I couldn't exactly tell who's in third. We'll get an update on that in a second. See that the pack definitely has a wide range at the moment. That might even be, I believe that is Opix in third. Vulcan in fourth, and Detail battling for fifth. Okay, I'm gonna assume that's Turkey Shot. That's definitely Turkey Shot in fifth, 100%. Very, very obvious. Even though I couldn't exactly tell who he was, I could just tell who he was by how he's racing. Man, this is tough for these guys back here. Is that Fireball? That's Fireball, man. Wow, he's really far back. Being obviously affected deeply by that start. Vulcan and Turkey both going down. It's gonna be rough for them. They both had really solid starts. Could have moved on to a solid race, but with that crash right there, gonna be a lot of recovering to do for them. You know, if Turkey, maybe if he didn't hit the invisible barrier on the rollover thing like literally every lap, you know, maybe he'd have a solid run. You know, that might make a difference. A couple drivers here going down in the rhythm section. Vulcan actually with a nice move there, keeping it clean. Around the outside, or around the right, really. Fireball's probably made up quite a few positions with all these wrecks that are happening in front of him. And look, there's another one, Vulcan, going down in that double-triple rhythm section, which I think is kind of an underrated section in the sense that a lot of mistakes happen there. A lot of mistakes happen there, surprisingly. You wouldn't expect them to, but a lot of people actually crash there. We go into the whoop section. Looks like there's a little battle there. I believe this is for third between Opix and Detail. Fireball's already all the way up to, I think he might be in fifth already, which is absolutely crazy. Or sorry, he's not in fifth. I think he's in sixth already, which is insane. Like, he's definitely made some big gains from the start. There's Turkey just being an idiot. I think Real Deal's in fifth right now. I think he's locking down in the fifth place spot, which we haven't talked about him much, but he's like, I guess silently just worked his way through the pack, and now he's kind of settled his spot in fifth place, which is not a bad position to be in this early in the race, really. I mean, honestly, it's kind of a nice spot. You have a lot to work with. Obviously, if you make a mistake, you're not going to go all the way back to last. But if you make... Oh, great. And there it is. I think Real Deal just cheesed himself. Oh, no. Alright, let's get an instant replay of that. This is what I was talking about in the heats. Somebody hits that inside wall going into the whoops. Every single race here is going to lose a position to Fireball, lose a position to Turkey, Vulcan, and possibly Bean here at the end of it. So that sucks. That's a lot of positions down for Real Deal. That's definitely one of those spots you have to look out for. Another one of the kind of like underrated parts of the track, I guess. Like, the entrance to that whoop section is actually pretty difficult if you're not paying attention. And sometimes you can be paying attention, you'll still hit it. So you got to be very careful. Like, obviously you want to carry as much speed as possible, but you got to be very careful entering the whoop section. Going through the sand, had a nice little battle there, but it's kind of settling out a little bit. I have no idea how Vulcan cased that jump. Really no clue. I mean, he had to have let off the gas or something. I've never seen that happen to anyone else before. Unless they wreck, like, literally right before it, but I don't think he did. It's very odd, very odd. This is odd moto so far. We're seeing some crashes in places that we have not seen in the heats and the semis. I think it's just that it's heating up a little bit. You know, there's more pressure on in the moto. There's a lot of pressure on for some of these drivers. Some of these drivers are still competing. I can't wait to get to this in the recap. Some of these drivers are still competing to try to get like a last second wildcard spot. and for the Champ Series, and that could be huge. Like, and a lot of these drivers are right on the bubble, too. Like, they're very, very, very close. All they would need is, maybe a Moto win, and that could put them over the edge for getting that wild card spot. So yeah, some of these drivers have a legitimate chance of making Champ Series, and this is a big race for them, especially with the fact that a lot of those bubble drivers have those wild card races to work with, which means that they're going to have not including let's not include this race. They're going to have 5 races left in the season, because like I said, most of them could do that wild card race, and because of that, that's 5 races is a lot. I mean, think about it. If you average, what's like a decent average? Let's say you average like nice number. Let's say 25 points a night, which is pretty good. I wouldn't say that's like, if you're championship caliber, you want to be averaging somewhere in the 28 to 29 range a night, which is pretty high. But that's if you want a championship, that's around where you want to be averaging with your points. But I'd say 25 is like a solid, let's say like a top 5 if you make all the races. If you're averaging 25 points a night for the whole season, that would be great. That would definitely be top 5 material. If you do that for these last 5 races and you're in one of those bubble spots, you can make some huge gains. I mean, think about that. 125 points in 5 nights. That's a lot. That is a ton, and you can definitely pass some people with that. With some of these people, like I'm looking at people like Vulcan, Opix, Uncle Blake could be a competitor. You have Could Be Better. Setter's not here. You have Bean. Bean's definitely one of those fringe guys that's just like right on the bubble. You have Elite, Justice, Ricardo. If he starts, stop being a cheeser. You have a lot of people that can fill in those last wild card spots that are like right on the edge. And if one of them can get like a solid, let's say 100 points, I said 125. That was a very high estimate. Let's say like 100 points in these last 5 weeks. I mean, that would be huge gains, and that could be enough. That probably would be enough to earn one of these guys a wild card spot. So I'll talk more about it in the recap, where I'll be able to look at I'll be able to look at everybody's points in depth a little more, and it'll be a little bit easier to explain. But yeah, I think it'll be an interesting race for these last 2 wildcard spots. It always is. It always is. Every single season, there's always some spoiler. There's always some, some driver that just comes out of nowhere and lands a spot. It always happens. I think the same will reign true. Whoa, was that Turkey that just? I think that was Turkey that just cheese Bean. Oh my God, that caused a lot of cheese. Wow, Turkey's dumb. All right, let's continue with that. Disclaimer: I'm very good friends with Turkey, so I'm not just being a butthole to him. If you're watching this video and you don't know that, so yeah. Real Dill got a cheesed him there too, and now Vulcan's getting into it. This is just comedy at this point. Oh, and into the inside wall. What is going on in this battle? This is freaking weird. I guarantee you Real Dill's going to make a move on Turkey here soon. Like, next 2 sections, 100%. Let's see this. Going to follow him around the outside here. I was going to say Turkey's going to get a risky landing there. Oh, Real Deal. Oh, he's going to pass them, but Vulcan's going to pass them both. What? This is insane. Oh, Real Deal's going to hit Vulcan with the cheese, though. Back to the inside. He's not going to land it. He made contact, and that ruined his speed, and he's not going to land it. He will land the triple, though. And now Bean might be able to make up a couple spots here, too. This is just a ridiculous battle, really. This is like some comic book type stuff here. I could just imagine, like, from the 60s Batman show, every time these drivers make contact, you just get the pow on screen. That's kind of what I'm seeing right now. Update on the lead. There's Luke still in the lead with 1, maybe 2 drivers lapped. I don't know. There's a little bit of lap traffic here. Not very much. I think it's just 1 driver lapped. So there's a little bit of lap traffic here, but not very much. Definitely not as bad of lap traffic as we have seen in past seasons. Just in general this season, there hasn't been, lap traffic hasn't been. Season 3 lap traffic was an issue frequently, and it was it was probably one of the bigger issues in the league. Season 4, it would play a role every once in a while, but for the most part, it wasn't that bad. Season 5's probably been the best season so far in terms of cautions. Obviously there's Guerco, but whatever. That's just like one little black spot. Oh, why'd I say black spot? Am I racist? Guerco was just like one little spot there in the season. And detail with the cheese there. That's going to be Fireball. Fireball might have I think Fireball just moved into 3rd place. That's a podium spot for him, which is insane. He was way far back in the start of the race. showing that you can, if you're consistent, you work at it, you really can gain some spots during the race in this track. But um, yeah, I think Season 5 so far has definitely been the best in terms of lap traffic not playing a role, and in terms of cautions not playing too huge of a role either. This season's been very good for that. Obviously, there's one exception. There's always an exception to the rule. But for the most part, I think this season has definitely had less issues than the past seasons. I think this season's been the most, like, in terms of the people that show up, for how few total people we have now, we probably have the most consistent people showing up, if that makes sense. Like, it's the same. We have quite a few people showing up week after week, and it's always like the same people. Whereas last seasons, there'd always be like someone new every week, and that would make it 16 or whatever, and then they wouldn't come back. Whereas this season, it's generally the same people, and we're having like 12 or more on average for the most part every week with mostly the same people. So that's kind of nice. I think this season's definitely improved on several of those aspects. Because I personally, I'd rather have like 12 people that are at every race than 16 people every race, but it's like a group of 8 or 10 that are like consistent, if that makes sense. I would rather take the 12 that are the same people. That's just my preference. I think that's better for viewership. I think that's better for the racing, better for competition. Just my opinion on the matter. And we have less of those blue flag and caution issues. Like that's honestly, that attendance is probably the big reason that stuff hasn't been as big of an issue as it has in the past. So there you go. Pros and cons with everything. But yeah, we're coming to a close here soon in the race. I think we're going to be hitting final lap marker very soon here. Been an interesting race, but I think it's starting to mellow out. I think that we're getting close to that finish, and you might see a battle here or there, like last second, but for the most part, these guys have settled their positions and gotten their gaps. Looks like we're hitting that white flag final lap. We'll get an update on the leader in just a second. But yeah, it's been a pretty fun, pretty entertaining race. Look at this, wreck cheese even at the end. You got Hunter, Real Deal, Bean, one other driver that could be Uncle Blake. He might be a lap down though. No, I don't think he is. Or sorry, that's Ots and Ducks. That's got to be Ots and Ducks. But yeah, so interesting race here. Interesting moto. Lots of cheese, and it was definitely a fun one. I think we're going to be coming to that checkered flag very soon here. And I believe this is it. There it is, checkered flag. That's the finish of the race. Luke's going to take the win, Rowan's going to take second, and Fireball with a crazy run through the pack. He's definitely been having a better second half of the season. Going to get that third place spot. Detail's going to finish in fourth. The top five. Who rounds out the top five, though? Who rounds out the top five? Couldn't see. Actually, that might have been a lapper, so I think we're going to have to wait on top five driver for a second. Maybe the top five driver's a little bit further back. Wow, I didn't think it would take. Sheesh, the top four really had an advantage. And there it is. There was the top five right there. Opix getting that last fifth place spot. Sheesh. I didn't realize the gap was that big. But yeah, Opix, another one of those guys right on the bubble with a huge top five finish. But there you go. There's the results. Pretty fun moto. Second moto is going to be more of the same. You're going to have more crazy crashes, more crazy battles. A very interesting start. Same stuff for Dolium. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. See you for the second one.